Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone. I don't know if I'm even in this shot right now. Y'all have to forgive me. Got a new setup. Obviously, as I mentioned before, trying to get the deal where Drew is in it if he comes around, which he's standing right there. So, this may not look good, but I'm trying to pull it up over here so I can see it. I'm sorry for the delay. Oh, that's fun. So I just pulled up Facebook so I could look at my morning scone here. And the first thing that popped up is a picture 2 years ago today of Donna Britt putting blush on my face, or powder on my face when I was doing, when I was anchoring over at WAFB. That was very nice of her. Sweet, sweet lady. Let's see. Still trying to pull this up so I can see y'all. Anyway, good morning. A lot I want to talk about. We'll certainly get to your questions and comments as we do every morning. Computer's acting slow. Drew's here. Brought to you by Boudreaux's Bloody Mary Mix Margarita Mix. Yay, here we go. All right, I am in the shot. I'm kind of hiding behind the Boudreaux's, but anyway. All right, let's do this thing, y'all. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Val. Mark. Truck, I know, bud. Chris Roy, good morning. Glad to see everybody. Hope y'all having a good weekend so far. So, a couple things to talk about. Let me move this over a little bit. My coffee's over here. See, everything's just backwards now. Like, I've become so accustomed to doing this a certain way, and I don't know how it looks now. But anyway, let's see if that's okay. So, how about this, man? Kevin Toliver showing up and showing out a big way at Bears camp. Shaq. Man, that's right. Yep. I need to move that over, I guess. Is that okay? I just need to get over this. Like, I just need to go back and do it the other way. I got so used to having the camera and everything set up a certain way. All right. Alvino, good morning. Rusty Gomez, good morning. Tim Davis, good morning. Yeah, still on the shot. Oh, well. Let me do that. I'll figure it out, y'all. You know, I'm just going to leave it alone. Anyway, just go by Boudreaux's. If it's not framed properly, I apologize. Just go back to the other one. All right, I'll do it. All right, here we go. Going back to my other way of how I had this before. I know this is happening live, and I apologize. Drew is... one of those mornings, y'all. Excuse me, bud. Uh-oh. Are y'all dizzy yet? Sorry, guys. I apologize. I'm just going to go back to how I've always done this, because I know how to frame the shot and everything. So, hey, bud. Okay, there we go. Sorry. I should probably just start over. Y'all are like, what the hell is this? Hey. Okay. That goes there. All right. Okay, now let's talk some sports stuff. Bobby, good morning. Bob Kubrick, good morning. Carl Dunn, good morning. Glad to see everybody here today. So, Kevin Toliver doing great stuff in Bears camp. Shaq was in New Orleans. And Phil Steele has projected the SEC order of finish. So, we'll talk about that because this got a lot of play on Friday, as you might imagine, with the media. Hi, baby. Yeah. I love you. Yeah. What? Gala. Of course, the media at SEC Media Days projects the SEC champion, the order of finish in the East and the West, and all that stuff. And LSU was picked 5th in the West, so it got a lot of... Are you slamming Daddy's phone case? He's slamming my phone case and thinks it's hilarious. He's just picking it up and dropping it. And he thinks it's hilarious. All right, we'll see you later. Anyway, so it got a lot of play when the media picked the order of finish because, of course, he's about to do it again. Drew, let's stop doing that, okay? You're going to break it, buddy. I know that's funny. So anyway, LSU was picked 5th. LSU was picked. Can I please do this show this morning? Okay, I'm sit with Daddy. Sit with Daddy. Right, here, go take it in the other room and slam it on the ground. He just wants to slam my phone case. Bruh. What is so funny about this? I know, it's hilarious. Can Daddy do a show now, please? He's gonna break it. I'm about to lock him out of this room now. He's gonna break my Mophie. Okay, let's continue. So, right, Christopher, dad life. Oh my God, whatever makes him happy. He woke up at 5:30 this morning. Let me hurry up and talk about something before he comes back. He's on his way. I have lost control of my morning. Okay. So, SEC order of finish. LSU was picked 5th in the West. And a lot of people were like, "Shlibby-dibby-dibby-doo. Why do you hate LSU? Blah, blah, blah." Well, not just me, but that's the way the media picked it. Phil Steele, who of course does this professionally and is known to have the most accurate, preseason guide and all, picked the order of finish in the West, almost identical to the way the media did. He had Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, LSU, same first 5, but he flipped 6 and 7. So he's got Arkansas 6 and Ole Miss 7. The media reversed that, and that's how I voted as well in the poll. In the East, he's got Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, which is how I voted. Then Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Vandy, which is exactly how I voted in the East. So the only difference between Phil's ballot and my ballot, or I guess this isn't Phil's ballot, this is just his piece up at ESPN.com, is that in the West, he had Ole Miss, Arkansas 6-7. He has Arkansas, Ole Miss 6-7. I had Arkansas 7th in the West. I bring that up just because it's just interesting at this point with the talking season. You start to get a lot of predictions in all conference teams and things like that. I really don't care very much about the all conference teams, but the order of finish I do find interesting. Win-loss projections from prognosticators like that. So Phil Steele is one of the most respected, and he's got LSU 5th in the West, and that's it's just worth. I guess the reason I keep bringing it up is just. Your world, buddy. We're just living in it. Is that funny? Okay, well, we'll see you later. Go watch Mickey. We'll see you later.
What?
Truck, I know. You love trucks. Okay. I'm glad y'all think that that's funny. Because I'm like just mortified right now, but I'm glad y'all think it's funny. So anyway, I was going to encourage all of you to hit the share button, but at this point, like, I don't know why any of you are even watching because Drew is just taking over this whole show. Anyway, so he's a better co-host than Terry. They contribute the same as far as content. But see, Bob said hide it. See, here's the thing: if I hide it, he's gonna come back here and he's not gonna find it. He's gonna fuss. He's gonna whine. I'd rather him be laughing, slamming that on the desk, than lose it. Anyway, so real quick, LSU, Phil Steele picks up 5th in the West, where the media had LSU finished. A lot of people like say, well, the media at SCBD days is often wrong. Very true. Often wrong about picking the overall league champion. What, baby? Order of finish, though, usually isn't far off. Bears have already. Y'all. If y'all want to start firing away with questions, I'll get to those. He's trying to pool. I know, baby. He's trying to take off my shirt now because he wants to go in the pool. Hey, we'll go in the pool later. Okay. Later. Okay. Later.
Mom.
What, baby?
Mana.
Mana. Yeah. Mana. Yeah. Okay, go watch Mickey. Yay! Okay, listen. All right, we'll see you later. All right, Alvin has said, remember you did an interview and said LSU is different from other years because the passing game will be its strength. With that being said, if this passing game and Steve follows through, the passing offense finishes better than 30th, is that all the hot seat and praise for this decision? Does it give him more prestige? So the thing about the passing game being the strength, maybe we're just talking semantics, Alvino, but I think LSU throws this year out of necessity because they don't have a bell cow running back. It doesn't necessarily, so even if you finish, statistically 30th, 30th, whatever, I mean, Texas Tech, their passing game's a strength. They're 7-5, 6-6 every year. So as far as the hot seat talk relative to the passing, as far as the hot seat talk relative to the passing game, I don't think that matters. And hey. Yes. And I've said, I'll continue to say, I don't think that the win-loss record necessarily is the most critical part of Ed's job security. I mean, yeah, it matters. I mean, if they just have a 5-7 type year, it could be it. But I think the quality of their wins, provided that they still are, if they can wind up beating any of Auburn, Georgia, Bama, Miami, at least, especially the SEC games, at least you feel like LSU is still among the elite in the conference. Hey, sweetheart, you're making this really hard this morning. What, baby? Hey, why don't you go watch Mickey, okay? Let Daddy finish, please. Hey, listen, go watch Mickey and Daddy will finish, okay? Go watch Mickey. Okay? Okay. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody who's saying hi. So anyway, Alvin, to your point, I understand the question. I don't think you're heading down the right path, though. I think ideally they'd love to have one of these running backs emerge and become a consistent offensive player. I think the whole thing with the passing game being a strength is out of necessity this year. And I'll continue to say that for Ogeron this year, for LSU, it's more go find a way to get a few of those quality wins. And I'll highlight 7 games that I think LSU could lose. They could lose to Miami, Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State, Georgia, Bama, Texas A&M. I think those 7 are losable games. They're not going to lose all 7 of them, but if they can go 3-4 in those games, you get to 8-4 in the season, and with a couple of really nice wins, and I think you look to 19 and the arrow's pointing up. Kevin, do you think most have resigned to the fact that 18 won't be good and that their set's on 19? I don't think the players and coaches do, but I would hope realistically fans do. I mean, I know fans aren't always rational, and it's easier to talk about it in August or July than to actually live through it. Hang on. Hot baby. Killing me this morning, Sorry, y'all. It's been a little bit of a challenging morning. Drew was up like 5:30, and he's been a little hot and cold, fussy, and it's just been one of those mornings. So I apologize. All right, does Ryan Ramczyk become good or great in his sophomore year? That's a good question. A lot of times the thing you worry about with guys going into their second year is when film is out on them. Do they slump? Either do they slump because film's out on them, or because they had early success, do they not work as hard? That's some of the time what goes in like a sophomore slump. I would worry about that more with Alvin Kamara. I think Ramczyk's going to be great. I mean, physically he's got all the tools, and he plays a very unforgiving position where if you're not healthy and performing well, like, you're going to get embarrassed. Like, the guys that I would worry about would be more so guys that other teams could scheme against, Kamara or Lattimore, things like that. If teams spend an entire off season breaking down those players and finding tendencies, those are I'm not saying they will, I'm saying those would be the ones I think you'd worry more about a sophomore slump. Trey, good morning. Shannon, good morning. Julie, good morning. Hey, Julie. Steven, bro, do you think they'll have a running back, or just they don't have a proven back?
What?
I think there's one of the offense. Steven, all right, so here, like, this is what I'll say to you. So you're dealing with two true freshmen with Tay Pro. I'm just going to roll through it. Hey, let's not fuss, okay? With, Provins and Chris Curry. And the thing is with those two guys, like, you're talking about freshmen that even like 5-star stud even Leonard Fournette didn't really emerge until mid-October, like the Florida game, mid or late October of his freshman year. To think that one of those guys, day one, is just going to be a freak show stud, it's just not realistic. So you got to look at the other guys on the roster. Like, we've seen Nick Brissett not be great now for 4 years, and I don't mean to like call the kid out, but I think at some point you realize what he is. He's not even going to be a serviceable back like Darrell Williams was, or even a good back. I think the guy that you kind of hope maybe is the one that's showing flashes that could be the guy would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but until you see him do it at this stage as an every down back, which I don't even think that Clyde is that in the SEC. I think he's a 10 carry a game guy who's probably really good catching the ball out of the backfield too, sort of a dynamic player. Like, they don't have the guy initially that's going to be that guy. I mean, it's not to say none of them can be throughout their careers, but you look at guys like Charles Scott and Stephen Ridley and Hester, guys who emerged and became really good or all SEC backs, but they didn't do it as freshmen. Or at least certainly not at the onset of the season. Scott, you should do LSU position group review heading into the season. Sure, throw out a position. I'll start with it if you want. See, Kevin says a running back can and will step up. Okay, but what does that mean? All right, like, when you have Darius Geis or you have Leonard Fournette or you have Jeremy Hill, you're talking about NFL running backs playing college football. So a running back will step up. Someone has to be the leading rusher. Someone may run for 600-700 yards, but like that's a far cry from Leonard Fournette in 2015 running for 1,800 yards, or Darius Geis running for 1,500 yards and getting a couple 250-yard games. Like I think LSU fans have been so spoiled by the absurdity of talent they've had at running back that you don't fully understand what kind of a drop-off there is heading into this season. I mean, the fact that this is the first time since the 1970s that LSU enters a season without having a single running back on its roster that scored a rushing touchdown in college. I mean, it's not only the lack of a difference maker, but just a lack of experience too at that position. It's just like you can continue to downplay it, but it's just the reality of it. All right, trivia says, let's play what if, say Joe Burrow set the world on fire, goes 10-2. Does that help or hurt quarterback recruiting and Miles? Oh, I guess that's Miles Brennan. Miles with a Y, by the way, Brennan. If Joe Burrow lights it on fire, goes 10-2, then I mean, who cares about the next guy? You'll have Burrow back for another year, and then you figure it out down the line. You would hope Brennan stays, and then he could play as a junior theoretically in 2020, or if he took a redshirt year, or you find another transfer and you figure it out. I just ideally you'd love to have that clarity, but what the quarterback position has shown us in college football is guys don't stay, guys transfer, and it's so transient that you always sign one in your class and then you evaluate it every year. And if you're lucky and you have a 3-year starter, awesome, but that's just a rarity. Chris says the thing that worries me is we don't pass the ball well, and running back doesn't become like what we've had. And now those 7 games you mentioned are very tough, and we potentially lose a game or two that we shouldn't. Is that a real possibility? Yeah. I think LSU should beat Texas A&M, but I don't think they will. I think LSU can beat Miami and probably will. I think LSU can beat Mississippi State, and that's going to be, one of those. The thing is, when you look at say Arkansas or Ole Miss, those are those two teams are going to be very bad this year. With a complete, they've been gutted by talent, new coaches, especially Arkansas with a new system. You're not going to lose those 2 games. It would just be, I can't fathom losing those 2 games. So I don't know that the game you're supposed to win out there that you lose is really that evident. Let's see, Joey says, "Hey Joey, good morning." Kevin's talking about Dalton Hilliard. All right, you're talking about something that happened 35 years ago, Kevin. Please tell me the last. If Dalton Hilliard is your reference, you're talking about 35 years ago. And I'm trying to give you Leonard Fournette 4 years ago that wasn't even ready to play from jump. Okay, so dude, Kevin, you can be a rah-rah guy, and it's fantastic if you want to be it. I'm not saying don't, but at some point, you're gonna be faced with the reality of what's staring you in the face, and it's not Dalton Hilliard of 35 years ago. Okay, it's the fact that you don't have a bell cow on this roster. And if you want to be 50-50, that's going to be tough because you don't have a guy right now. Steven says, think we'll be running back by committee until it clicks. Sure. I mean, it's got to be. Joey says, I think LSU will win the most improved team game 1. I disagree. I think that's Texas A&M. Hang on one second, yeah. All right, sorry. Let's see. Where was it? So Joey said LSU most improved game 1 at the end of the season. I'm gonna give that to A&M, and here's why as well. In week 2, A&M plays Clemson, and then 2 weeks later they play Alabama. So A&M plays Clemson and Alabama in September. They're going to lose both those games and probably lose both of them badly. But after they get through that stretch, they'll probably establish whichever is their starting quarterback. Their schedule becomes more manageable, and I think they're going to keep getting better and better and better as they get into November. Whereas if you look at how LSU goes through that stretch in October, like LSU has the tough 2 games, and then they go through that brutal stretch in October where it's at Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, the open date, then Bama. Like that 5-week stretch, 4 games, but 5 weeks because of the bye, that could be rough. And so then by the time you get to that second week in November, when you're playing Arkansas and then Rice, it's just like, all right, let's see if we can just get through the season. And yeah, it'll be, I think that's a game that's going to be very telling, not only for this season, but for the future as well. Danny, Brian, Leroy, good morning. Kevin, it's okay. I'm not saying you're old, man. But it's just the point is, like, if all you're doing is talking about, if your example is Dalton Hilliard 35 years ago, like, it's not current. Like, in the current state of college football, I'd give you, like, you can look at J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State last year, who was really good from the first game of the season, but he was a 5-star freak show, #1 back in the country that everybody wanted, and like LSU didn't have one of those guys. Like they didn't, if you could go back 2 recruiting classes and you get Cam Akers, then yeah, problem solved. But he's at Florida State, so that's not really an option. If you had Travis Etienne, who picked LSU instead of Clemson, problem solved. But you don't. What's up, Lil C? Ryan Condon watching. See if we can get some more y'all's questions and comments if you want. See, 2 other things real quick before we get to more of your questions and we'll wrap up. Shaq was in New Orleans yesterday, an event with Malcolm Jenkins. That was pretty cool. It was Malcolm Jenkins, Shaq, and Stephen A. Smith. I guess they were all 3 like fraternity brothers, but a pretty cool thing they were doing for just a community event. And Shaq talked about LeBron, and he said, man, I was surprised by it because when he was at the Lakers, he said he always wanted to get his 4th ring before Kobe got his. So it was always, he basically talked about how it was always about having more rings than his competitors. And Shaq said he was surprised to see LeBron do what he did because felt like he's got 3 Golden States, Curry's got 3, but Curry's probably going to get at least, this was Shaq saying, going to get at least 2 more. Doesn't think LeBron's going to win one with the Lakers this year. So interesting just perspective on what guys choose, but it just goes to show you, man, like it's a different era in the NBA with how guys choose where they want to go. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, and if y'all have any more questions, we'll get to them or we'll wrap up. Kevin Toliver, y'all seen this? So Kevin Toliver went undrafted, got signed by the Bears, went to Bears camp, which is open. He's had 3 interceptions in the first 2 days. To me, like, I always find it amazing when guys get out of college who maybe weren't cut out for college and sort of underwhelmed. They get to the pro game in whatever sport it may be, and they start doing like what you're seeing Kevin Toliver do. Now, in fairness, it's 2 days of camp, but like he's one of those guys that came in 5-star, great expectations, played a lot as a freshman, then had some things in his personal life get off track and kept him off the field largely his sophomore year. He was suspended for the opener last year against BYU. He just had one of those college careers that just went up and down because of a lot of things not on the field that just either he couldn't take care of or went awry. But now you're seeing him in a day where it's like, hey man, all you have to do is go play ball. This is your job. Is go play professional football. And he goes out there and he's got the gifts very clearly. And it goes to show you too, man, some guys just aren't made out to be in college, and you wonder sometimes, all right, why did that guy leave early? He would have benefited from another year. maybe not. You know, if Kevin Toliver would come back, maybe he's the same guy at LSU for another year, just prolonging, you know, his entry into the NFL. So I wish him well, man. And you see cases like that. You know, you see, you know, Jalen Collins, who was a good player at LSU, not a great player, but a good player, tested really well, got into the NFL with the Falcons, became a starter, and was awesome. I mean, now he's had issues with failing drug tests, which has got him out of the league. But as far as just on the field acumen, he was really good. And it's always interesting to me to see those types of guys. It looks like Toliver could be on his way to being sort of the next one. A couple more. Let's see. Chris Roy, do you recall LSU football being such an unknown going into the season? I've seen where a couple of analysts said the mystery team of the SEC. Yeah, I think it's fair. I can't remember this much uncertainty. And truthfully, that's a testament to Les, honestly, because while Les had his shortcomings, and ultimately shortcomings that cost him his job, he was consistent. Like, he knew how he wanted to build a roster. He knew how he wanted to win games. He recruited to that, and that's why they were just you always knew what you were going to get. It just felt like if they could ever figure out quarterback, then, you know, they take off, and they didn't, and that's ultimately, you know, his stubbornness and his unwillingness to move on from Cam is ultimately what cost Les his job. But the reason why they're such an unknown, it's because Les was so consistent, and now you have a new coach who's got a new coordinator for the second consecutive year. You're going to have a new quarterback. You don't know who it is. You lose your top running backs, top receivers, 3 offensive linemen, all that sort of stuff. And so, I mean, naturally there are going to be questions just because, like, there's talent, but there's so much unknown. So, no, to answer your question, no, I can't remember the last time that there were this many unknowns going into a season. Jordy said, while listening to you, watching the SEC Rewind 2003 championship with Mock. Oh, gosh. R.I.P. LSU good QB days. Hopefully they come again, man. They got a couple of good guys in the pipeline. But Mock's another one that was interesting, man. I mean, I don't think anybody in 2001 thought Matt Mock was going to be what he ended up being, you know. But he was just a steady guy and ended up, you know, being the right guy in the mix on that championship team. JT said, never play BYU again. The game was boring. But you know what it goes to show you, though? Like, sometimes with schedule, you just, like, you get lucky. Like, when you schedule a BYU game, you know, you could have never foreseen that the year that they rotate on the schedule, they're going to be a 3-win team. Similarly, this year with Miami, when you schedule that game, Miami wasn't a top 10 team. Well, they hire Mark Richt, they get better, and now all of a sudden you look and you go, that's a much tougher game today than it was when you scheduled it. Or like Alabama plays Louisville this year. Well, if they play that game a year ago, they got to face Lamar Jackson. Well, now they're going to face a team that's rebuilding its entire offense and losing a Heisman Trophy winner. So sometimes that's just dumb luck, quite honestly. It's, you know, circumstances that you can't control. All right, Aaron said, I can't imagine Devin White playing anything other than linebacker at LSU, but I can't help but wonder what might have been if he played running back. This year would have been his year, and we need a stud. You know what? Like, it's an interesting point, but yeah, he's a much better linebacker now. What about Lowell Narcisse? I know it's stupid. I'm sure he wants to play quarterback, but like, if you ever go look at Lowell, like go out to practice and look at him, he looks like an NFL running back. Like, physically, he looks like a guy he looks like Adrian Peterson. Like, I mean, it's what he looks like in the uniform. I mean, if you need a guy. Hey, Boo Blackburn, good morning. Good morning, Russell Appold. Hey, good morning, Brett Ayers. Or Hires, maybe. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap this up, y'all. Irwin said, drink a Bloody Mary in the morning. I'm good, man. I had a good day. Hung up at the pool yesterday. Got a lot of sun. Drink my coffee, drink some water, go to church here in a little bit, and have a good day. But in the meantime, y'all check out Boudreaux's, the Bloody Mary mix, the Margarita mix, available in great local retailers, Calvin's, Calandro's, Alexander's, Mid-City Wine and Craft. If you're in Homa, they got it at Canada's. You can check out all their social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Please follow them and support a great local company that supports morning scone. The thing I like about this too, let's see, I'll shake it up. I don't know if you can see it if it's too close, but can you see all like the specks of everything in there? The great thing about it is you don't have to go empty out your pantry to mix a drink. You just shake it, you pour it on ice, you add your vodka, and you're good to go. So check out the Bloody Mary mix and the margarita mix. Quick to wrap it up. True, you said quick to wrap it up. Well, throw out some more questions, man. I'm happy to answer more if y'all got them, or we will just put a button on it. All right. If you haven't yet, please hit the share button. All the likes and everything like that. Hitting the likes, the little heart button, and all that stuff helps too. So all those impressions help. The comments. So appreciate all y'all. Let's see. Interesting week. Saints open training camp on Thursday, so we'll start getting into Saints training camp stuff this week, which is great. And then next week, LSU is going to open fall camp as well. So it's here, y'all. Football's upon us. All right, let me we'll wrap this up. I'll go take care of Drew, and y'all have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.